Moonlit Throne Audiobook Review and Summary. Welcome back, book lovers. Today we're stepping into the dangerous, seductive, and politically brutal world of Moonlit Throne, a dark fae fantasy where beauty is never safe, loyalty is always conditional, and power often arrives covered in blood. This is not cozy fantasy. This is court intrigue with teeth. It is sensual, violent, emotionally charged, and deeply tangled in old grudges, royal manipulation, and the terrifying question at the heart of so many fae stories. What does it cost to claim your birthright? In this review and summary, I'll be focusing especially on the dramatic middle section involving Meredith, Doyle, Sholto, the Unseelie Court, and the awakening of Meredith's terrifying hand of power. There will be spoilers, so if you want to experience every twist blind, consider this your warning. But if you're ready for fae politics, magical assassination plots, bodyguard tension, and one of the darkest coming into power moments I've read in a while, let's enter the Moonlit Throne Room. ## spoiler-free overview. Moonlit Throne follows Princess Meredith, a part mortal, part fae royal who has spent years away from the Unseelie Court. Her exile is not glamorous. It is survival. She left because court life had become a slow-motion execution. Duels, schemes, and assassination attempts followed her because she was inconvenient, royal enough to matter, but mixed blood enough for enemies to underestimate her. And that is one of the most compelling parts of the story. Meredith is not introduced as an all-powerful chosen one who simply needs to unlock her destiny. She is someone who has been dismissed, hunted, sexualized, politicized, and pushed to the edge. The court thinks it knows what she is. Then her magic wakes up. And suddenly everyone has to reassess the woman they thought was weak. The story combines dark fantasy, romance, horror, and political intrigue. The fae here are not glittering woodland creatures. They are ancient, cruel, sensual, proud, and often terrifying. The Unseelie Court runs on beauty, blood, reputation, and leverage. In this world, power is both protection and curse. ## summary of the key events. The section opens in chaos. Meredith is trapped in a bathroom while Doyle, the Queen's infamous assassin and bodyguard, clashes with Sholto, King of the Slough. Both men believe they are protecting or claiming some version of duty, but they are also carrying old resentments. Their fight is not just about Meredith. It is layered with centuries of rivalry, suspicion, and court politics. Meredith, despite being injured and weakened, understands the real problem faster than either of them. They are both supposed to want her alive. They are both dangerous enough to destroy each other. And if they keep fighting, she may lose the only allies capable of getting her out. When she gets the lights on, the scene is brutal. Doyle is being strangled by one of Sholto's tentacles, Sholto is injured, and a severed tentacle lies on the floor. Doyle, normally the greatest warrior of the Unseelie Court, is losing, but not because Sholto is naturally stronger. Sholto has a magical ring called Behawick, which steals vitality and skill from an opponent. That detail matters because in fae culture, strength is reputation. Winning with borrowed power may be effective, but it is not honorable. Doyle recognizes the ring and immediately understands that something is wrong. Sholto claims the Queen gave it to him, along with orders to kill Meredith. But Doyle knows the Queen's will better than almost anyone. And according to him, the Queen does not want Meredith dead. This is the first major turning point. Sholto realizes he may have been manipulated. Someone used the Queen's authority falsely, sending him to Los Angeles to execute Meredith when the Queen actually wanted her returned alive. But Sholto refuses to name the traitor. Why? Because information is currency at court. If Meredith is returning to Ferry under the Queen's protection, Sholto loses bargaining power. He had hoped to offer her something: protection, alliance, perhaps even intimacy and political partnership. But if the Queen now wants Meredith back, Sholto fears he has nothing she needs. His bitterness is striking. He sees himself as monstrous, as deformed, as someone Meredith would not choose unless she had no better option. Beneath all the menace and arrogance, there is insecurity. That makes him one of the more interesting figures in this section. He is dangerous, yes, but also wounded by centuries of being treated as lesser. Then the conversation turns to what Meredith has done upstairs. Because while Sholto and Doyle were fighting, Meredith's magic manifested in a horrifying way. She has awakened the Hand of Flesh, a power associated with her father. This ability can warp and destroy flesh, turning an enemy's body into something unrecognizable while leaving them alive in agony. The victim is Neri/Norris, one of the slew who attacked Meredith. What remains of her is not really a person-shaped body anymore. It is a living mass of organs, muscle, and pain. The image is pure body horror, and the emotional impact is enormous. Doyle studies the result and confirms the significance. Meredith has not only awakened a major power, she has manifested one connected to royal blood. This changes her political value instantly. She is no longer merely the mixed-blood princess who fled. She is now Princess of Flesh. That title is not just dramatic. It is a weapon. At court, reputation can be as important as magic itself. If people believe Meredith is capable of doing this to her enemies, they may hesitate before challenging her. Fear becomes armor. But there is a cost. Doyle insists that Meredith must finish the kill herself. At first, this seems cruel, and honestly, it is. Meredith does not want to butcher someone, even someone who tried to murder her. But Doyle frames it as necessary. A newly awakened power must be blooded. If she does not complete the act, the magic may retreat or fail to grow. So Meredith takes the sword. What follows is one of the darkest scenes in the section. She tries to kill mercifully, but the slew are difficult to destroy. One strike is not enough. Several strikes are not enough. Eventually mercy turns into relentless violence. Meredith keeps going until the screaming stops. This moment is horrifying because it is not presented as clean empowerment. It is not girl boss magic awakening. It is trauma. It is survival. It is mercy. It is rage. And it is also, disturbingly, pleasure. Afterward, Meredith recognizes that some part of her enjoyed the destruction. That self-awareness is crucial. The line that defines her character here is not that she is innocent. She is not. It is that she continues to question herself. She understands that the moment she stops questioning whether she is becoming a monster is the moment she truly becomes one. That is one of the strongest themes in the book. Power does not corrupt only because it exists. Power corrupts when you stop examining what it does to you. # Meredith's return home. After the violence at the hotel, Meredith returns to her apartment with Doyle. The contrast is fascinating. We move from blood-soaked horror to domestic detail, pink walls, curtains, furniture, familiar art, a bedroom decorated in darker tones. But the apartment does not feel safe anymore. That is a very realistic emotional beat. After trauma, home can become strange. Objects that once comforted you suddenly feel disconnected. Meredith is not simply tired, she is psychologically shaken. She has crossed a threshold and cannot uncross it. Doyle, ever the bodyguard, checks her apartment for magical traps. He is formal, controlled, and observant. Meredith is angry with him, angry because he forced her to kill, angry because he represents the court dragging her back, angry because he is there and available to blame. But she also recognizes that the anger is not fair. This section does a lot to develop their dynamic. Doyle is not warm in the conventional sense. He is disciplined, restrained, almost unreadable. But he saved her. He is loyal to the Queen, yet increasingly attentive to Meredith as a person. That tension makes him compelling. Is he protector, jailer, weapon, ally, or something more? The answer may be all of the above. They discuss Meredith's new power and the strange circumstances that may have awakened it. Doyle explains that Fey power often manifests through ritual, but ritual does not always mean candles and chanting. Combat, sacrifice, sex, and other intense acts can awaken magic. Meredith's recent experiences may have served as that catalyst. He also reveals that she may have another hand of power still waiting to manifest. That raises the stakes dramatically. Meredith is not just returning to court with one new ability. She may be returning as a far more powerful royal than anyone expected. And in the unseelie court, that is both protection and provocation. ## the political intrigue. One of the best parts of this section is how layered the politics are. On the surface, the Queen wants Meredith back and has promised protection. Doyle carries the Queen's mark and a personal weapon as proof of that promise. But Meredith knows better than to trust easily. The Queen allowed previous attempts on her life to continue because they were disguised as legal duels. Meredith believes those attempts were backed by Prince Sel, the Queen's favored son. If anyone else had targeted a royal, the Queen would have crushed them. But Sel is different. He is indulged. Protected. Excused. This is where the book's court politics become especially sharp. The danger is not only from enemies. It is from family. It is from rules applied selectively. It is from a queen whose love, pride, cruelty, and strategy are impossible to separate. Doyle claims the Queen's tolerance has changed. Sholto doubts it. Meredith doubts it too. And honestly, as a reader, so do we. That uncertainty keeps the tension alive. If Meredith returns, is she being welcomed home, or delivered into a more elaborate trap? Another thread involves a mysterious fae figure allowing themselves to be worshipped by humans, which is forbidden. This is not a small rule violation. It is a death sentence level offense. The fact that someone powerful is risking it suggests a much larger conspiracy moving in the background. So by the end of this section, we have multiple threats. 1. A traitor using the Queen's name. 2. Prince Sel's faction wanting Meredith dead. 3. Forbidden worship involving fae magic. 4. Meredith's own unstable new powers. 5. The emotional and political consequences of her return. That is a lot of tension, and the book handles it with a strong sense of momentum. As an audiobook experience, this kind of story depends heavily on atmosphere. The material is intimate, violent, and political, so the narrator needs to do more than simply read clearly. They need to capture the danger beneath every polite exchange. The best scenes in audio are likely the confrontations, Doyle and Sholto circling each other verbally and physically, Meredith trying to impose order while injured, and the quiet horror after her power manifests. A good narrator can make the courtly dialogue feel sharp rather than melodramatic. That matters because characters often speak formally, with titles, old grievances, and ritual weight behind their words. If performed too flatly, it could feel stiff. If overacted, it could become theatrical in the wrong way. But when done well, the audiobook format enhances the story's strongest qualities: the claustrophobia, the sensual tension, the menace, and Meredith's internal conflict. Meredith's narration is especially important. She has to sound strong without sounding unaffected. She is traumatized but not helpless. She is afraid but politically trained. She can make dry comments while standing in horror because that is how she survives. A strong audio performance should let us hear those layers: the princess, the survivor, the woman, and the potential monster. ## character highlights. ## Meredith. Meredith is the heart of the story. What makes her compelling is not invincibility but awareness. She is constantly measuring danger, reading political meaning, and questioning herself. Her new power is horrifying, but her response to it is what defines her. She does not deny the darkness in herself. She looks at it directly. That makes her far more interesting than a character who simply says, "I had no choice," and moves on. ## Doyle. Doyle is controlled, lethal, and loyal, but not simple. He serves the Queen, yet he protects Meredith with real seriousness. His relationship with duty is fascinating because it may conflict with his own feelings or moral instincts. His insistence that Meredith complete the kill is brutal, but in his world it makes sense. That is what makes him unsettling. He is not cruel for fun. He is shaped by a court where survival has rules most humans would find monstrous. ###Sholto. Sholto nearly steals the section. He is proud, wounded, dangerous, and politically sharp. His bitterness over being seen as monstrous gives him depth, while his refusal to reveal the traitor's name shows that he is still playing the game. He may be an ally, a rival, a romantic possibility, or a future threat. That ambiguity makes him memorable. ###themes. The biggest theme is power and monstrosity. Meredith gains power, but the form it takes is horrifying. The story refuses to make that simple. Power protects her, but it also changes how others see her and how she sees herself. Another major theme is court survival. In the Unseelie world, truth is rarely enough. You need proof, leverage, reputation, and timing. Even mercy can become a political act. There is also a strong theme of identity. Meredith has been treated as lesser because of her mixed blood and mortality. But her magic complicates every assumption. She is not less fey than expected. She may be more dangerous than anyone imagined. ###Final verdict. Moonlit Throne is dark, dramatic, and emotionally intense. If you enjoy fey fantasy that leans into danger, sensuality, political betrayal, and morally complicated magic, this is absolutely worth your time. This is not a story where power arrives cleanly. It arrives through pain, blood, and choices that leave scars even when the body heals. The strongest part of this section is Meredith's transformation. She is not suddenly safe because she has power. If anything, she is in more danger, because now everyone at court will want to use her, fear her, test her, or destroy her before she grows stronger. And that makes the return to the Unseelie court incredibly compelling. My rating for this section, 4.5 out of 5 Moonlit crowns. It is brutal, atmospheric, politically rich, and packed with character tension. The only reason I would not recommend it universally is that the violence and body horror are intense. But for readers who like dark fantasy with sharp edges, this delivers. #outro. So that's my review and summary of Moonlit Throne. What do you think of Meredith's awakening? Is the hand of flesh a gift, a curse, or both? And do you trust Doyle, Sholto, or the Queen? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, like the video, subscribe for more fantasy audiobook breakdowns, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. Until next time, keep your bargains careful, your enemies closer, and never trust a fey court when everyone is smiling.